We haven't even started
We didn't
yet.
even begin the podcast yet,
We
guys.
haven't started the Ultimate
Give us a
United Givers
minute.
of Themes, the podcast
now.
yet. Oh, here it goes.
Podcast for the Ultimate United Givers of Themes, and we're also known as Tuugof. We're gonna talk about the movies that we rewrote all the themes for. Watching some movies
stinky.
and complaining about things, cause we want our themes in these damn movies.
Salieri.
But we don't think Hollywood has the damn guts to deal with how real our themes are. We don't think the themes from all these movies cut the mustard good enough, and we could do a better job. So we rewrote the themes, and now they're better themes, and now this is the podcast where you listen to
Hey,
us talk
everybody,
about
we're
our themes.
continuing
Okay,
on
here
with
we go,
EP7.
let's podcast.
This is a little song called Amadeus. This is this one I almost didn't put on EP7. I wrote it right before, and then I was like putting it on.
Yeah, hey, sometimes you got to strike while the iron
Good
is
lyrics.
Amadeus.
Is this guy who plays piano really good? Well, he sure plays it. Amadeus is the guy who plays piano really good, but he doesn't seem to appreciate the gift. That's like no big deal, but there's this guy named Salieri.
We're not talking because we're just so enthralled with watching the movie
Yeah,
right now.
we're watching Amadeus, which you should be doing too.
Really big deal, oh, really big deal. He wants to play piano good.
So Salieri wants to play piano good. That's the deal.
Salieri is played by Murray Abraham.
Fuck yeah.
Just like Amadeus would.
Ooh, this is funny that this part is on because listen to about what I'm about to say.
The part where Amadeus plays Salieri's riff right back in his face, but way better than Salieri does it. Salieri just has to sit there, groove on it.
Oh, that tells it like it is. You didn't have to tell it like it is, Marge.
Yeah, so this is Amadeus. I just want to hear one of these harmonies here. So yeah, a broody little number for the broody little guy known as Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Yeah, he was a broody little guy. He did not party. He was like, I'm too broody to party.
No, he partied a lot.
No,
but he,
I know.
But
that
he
was
brewed.
my, that was my. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I guess he does brood too.
Yeah, he broods. Well, I mean, hey, you brood, then you party, then you write some music, and then you brood, and it's like wash, rinse, repeat, man, when you're a genius.
That is a good point. And if you weren't brooding, how would you know when you were partying?
Yeah.
You know?
This is the first movie that I think this is probably the first movie in my lifetime that won Best Picture, and I saw it and really liked it at the time and was like not like before that the movies that were winning Best Picture. Like here's what won Best Picture in my lifetime up to this point. Year one, Annie Hall, and hey. You know, decent film, of course, questionable guy, whatever, but not the kind of movie that a 1-year-old's going to see. You know, right? Or a 0-year-old. I was
point.
0.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. 78. I don't know what won Best Picture in 78. Maybe Kramer, maybe like Ordinary People or something like that.
I don't know.
Anyway, didn't see it. 79. Don't know what won that year.
Maybe Love Story.
Yeah,
That might have been earlier.
80 was Raging Bull. Great flick.
Saw it.
Great flick. But is a 3-year-old gonna be like, great flick? And you're gonna be like, no, where's the fucking color at?
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys, you forgot to color it.
Yeah. 81 might have been Ordinary People.
Sure.
Anyway,
sure. Is Terms of Endearment in there?
Terms
somewhere?
of Endearment was 83, 1 in 84. 84.
Liquid Sky.
No,
That
Liquid
was later,
Liquid
and that might not
Liquid
have won.
Liquid Sky. The Academy was not anywhere near that cool back then.
might
I
not-
mean, you know how cool they are now.
And Liquid Sky, honestly, I haven't seen it for so long. It might be really bad.
I think it was just like back then there were so few cult movies.
Oh, it was because of how weird it was.
Anyone. Do you remember that when it was like? Do you remember those couple of years? And maybe there were more a couple of years before.
Somebody would bring over a tape with a weird movie.
Or just like any independent movie. You're just like, oh, it's independent.
Sure.
And most of them were good, but it was like, but I guess there weren't that many
Yeah,
of them.
if you were seeing a movie at 19th Street, you already know it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And it usually was.
yeah, 19th Street being the art house theater in Allentown, PA, baby.
That was the only one we had, but that's where you've probably seen more stuff than I have there, but that's where I saw such
Bart and Fink
important
there.
films. Yeah, Bart Fink, saw maybe Miller's Crossing there.
Maybe. Hoop
Clerks.
Dreams.
I don't know if I love Clerks, but it's got its place in the pantheon.
Yeah,
for sure.
and it was an important film at the time because
Right,
it was kind of
right,
like it was kind of like what Nirvana did for music, well, or mainstream whatever. Like Nirvana was the band that like a billion
Right,
kids
right.
were like, yo.
Maybe I could
maybe
do
I can
this.
do that. And when we saw Clerks, we were like, we can definitely do that, and we did a whole bunch of times. There was just fucking in it.
Which brings us back to Amadeus, which
Yeah.
also has some fucking.
Man, if you want to talk about hardcore, like some serious fucking, man, like look no further than Amadeus, man. Like if you want a good fuck flick.
I mean, Milos Forman did go on to make a movie about Larry Flint.
Yeah.
That had a lot of fucking in it.
Yeah, and man, Larry Flint. Hey, did you ever get to meet him?
No.
Yeah, I got to a few times. He was always really nice to me, and don't know that much about the man other than from the movie, but in the movie, there's a lot of stuff. I watched that again recently, and that was a movie that I often forget about, and then I'm like, that movie's great. Why don't I watch this all the time?
I didn't watch that recently. I did watch Man in the Moon recently.
Oh yeah.
Holds up.
Did you watch that one that's like it's like Man on the Moon, but it's like the characters are talking about it? the documentary.
No, I didn't. I know what you mean,
Yeah.
but no, I didn't.
Where do you stand on the method? I mean, I think it's cool, but like when you start being dicks to people, that's when it's not cool.
Yeah, like I think like the stuff that Morbius does. Like to me, like no, that's not part of acting, man.
Yeah.
However,
Dan Day-Lewis.
Yeah, the stuff that Reynolds Woodcock does, I'm like, well, yeah, you are digging into this craft.
Yeah,
You know?
but also wasn't he like a real son of a bitch to the simp that there's a guy who played Paul Dano before Paul Dano did in There Will Be
okay. I
Blood,
didn't
but the rumor is that Dan Day-Lewis like stayed in character and was just hounding the kid so much, and then eventually he was like, man, I gotta quit.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know. I've heard him talk about. I've heard PTA talk about how he explained a lot to the boy HW before they were shooting.
Yeah.
He says, now sometimes I'm going to speak very strongly to you, but it's all make believe.
Yeah. Well, that kid wasn't even an actor. I think he was just like a local kid who just walked on set one day, and Paul Thomas Anderson was like, you know what this movie needs? A kid.
Yeah, and sometimes he's like, you know what? I'm going to use somebody who's not an actor. Like this new movie. He's like, hey, you. I mean, your dad was an actor, so you probably are.
Yeah. And hey, you're like a band, but whatever, just act. And then they did, and it was good.
Yeah.
I've watched that several times now, that old Licorice Pizza. And the first, like, every time I see one of his movies, of course, they're fucking visually beautiful. And
Yeah, they're a visual feast.
Yeah, and
sometimes it's not what you were expecting,
it was,
and that can be weird.
Yeah, and there's this weird thing where like people want to look for like likable characters, which arguably there's not many of in that movie. Everyone's kind of like a self-absorbed piece of shit, kind of, but it's just, but like. Why, and the movie doesn't necessarily glorify that. It's just like, this is the stuff that's happening,
Yeah.
Like sometimes, I'm going to say sometimes movies are just stuff that's happening and you don't need to make a big fucking deal about it, Yeah.
It's just a bunch of stuff that happened or whatever.
Yeah. People are real mad about the
relationship.
The Michael Higgins.
Sure.
You know, But and I heard Paul Thomas Anderson, and I'm not going to say my opinion either way on it. But the guy was like, he's like, well, it's a character who's an idiot racist. I thought that would be obvious, but then there's a question. It's like, do we even really need to see that or whatever? But anyway, fucking Salieri's like, Amadeus, he plays piano really good, and I want to play piano really good.
Sure.
So I think I'm gonna kill him or convince him to kill. What happens? He just basically makes him write himself to death, right?
Yeah, I have seen this several times, but not for a while. And I have a weird thing where sometimes with movies, I can't remember, or things that happened in real life in this case. I can't remember like the actual events. It's just like I remember like scenes and the overall vibe.
So from what I remember is there's this guy called Salieri, and he works for the Emperor
he has
he
has a lot of envy.
Yeah,
right.
And then there's this, and he's like, music is serious. You work hard, and hard work's gonna pay off. And then there's this guy who's like, hey man, music isn't fucking serious, but I'm a genius at it anyway. So fuck it.
Maybe I'm just going to come in here and be a fucking punker and punk up this fucking music a bit.
Mozart is pretty fucking punk.
Oh, he's a punker.
He doesn't give a fuck. He does what he wants. He'll fucking take someone else's song and play it right back in their face, but better than they did, and they have to sit there and groove on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the whatever time that was equivalent of like the truest modern day punks, like Blink 182.
Yeah,
those guys are true.
Yeah, or Machine Guy Kelly.
Yeah, that guy is punk
as
he's
fuck.
PAF.
If you want to get in my face about him and say that he's not punk, then you know what? We're gonna have to disagree.
And that'll be okay.
I do these like, I could be a petty man sometimes, and like there's still that layer. I've been getting mad at like because I still follow like Pitchfork and stuff like on social media.
Oh, sure.
But
did you get mad just at stuff existing?
Well, no, it's just like Pitchfork was talking about the Gammies. I guess the Gammies happened the other night. And hey, if somebody Pitchfork and like I don't know, I thought Pitchfork was supposed to be like cool music, and like we don't need to talk about the fucking Gammies unless it's cool shit like fucking Kendrick or something. Like there's certain things that it's like it can be mainstream and also cool. But most mainstream stuff just is not cool by default.
Well,
it just isn't.
I think that particular website is, it's.
Has it changed?
It got old just like we did, so it's for old people, and it was bought like a big Condé Nast owns it now.
See, I know none of that. They
do like Vogue and stuff like I think Vogue. They do big stuff like that.
Okay,
so it's
I
like
know none of this.
thing,
and honestly, I haven't looked at haven't
Rolling Stone. That used to be a thing for fucking hippies and dopers, and now it's not.
Yeah, shit. I guess we did just get old. Like my frame of reference on a lot of stuff is definitely, I would say, 10 to 12 years behind the times in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, I'm in front of the times. But like, as far as like the zeitgeist of like what cool music is now,
well, yeah.
I don't think I'm with it.
Or just with stuff.
I used to be with it, and then they changed what it was.
Yeah, I was listening to one of the newer Bell and Sebastian albums yesterday, and by newer I mean The Life Pursuit from 2006.
Yeah, but it's and I'd still do like if a band I've been listening to for 30 years puts out a new album, I will buy it in most cases. Oh man, that dope got a hold of my throat.
Yeah, I
didn't even smoke at that time.
Now you're hooked.
Yeah, but fuck. I mean, I don't know, but hold on. May I play devil's advocate with myself for a minute? Because I'm going to this, in all likelihood, I'm going to go to Spain to this Primavera festival, mostly to see Pavement, but there's a lot of other new bands on there. And I listen.
Hopefully some Pasta Primavera.
And I made a playlist of a lot of it. So I'm listening to these guys, and forgive me, these guys might be really old too, but I'm listening to these brand new guys, Idols.
Leonard Cohen.
No,
Idol. Yeah, they're
that's pretty new, right?
They're current, I think.
Yeah. And what about King Grizzard and the Grizzard guys, or what?
I think they've been around for a while, and I will not listen to them because I hate their name.
They just kind of jam out, man. Like,
yeah, I figure they're
just groove out on their jams, man.
Just their name makes me think they have the same vibe as another band I hate and have never listened to. Which is Captain Beefheart.
No, well, yeah, they kind of do, but both are good.
Sure, but
They just listen to him jam out, man. Just get blazed up and listen to him jam out.
look, I know you said you don't like it because you've never heard it.
Sit down, get
listen
blazed
to
up,
it
and listen
anyway.
to it. Oh, check out this part. Like, yeah. I mean, and when I say I listen to them, I mean that I listened to a couple of their songs once, and I put them on a playlist that I've maybe listened to once since. But that counts as listening to new stuff.
Sometimes I listen to new stuff. You know what I never listened to? Mozart. Or very rarely.
I listen to classical music sometimes, but not Mozart.
Yeah,
I
I do.
usually go for Beethoven.
I go for Brahms. And really, I think it's just because I like the name Brahms. Hey, did you ever get weird?
Listen to those sounds. Hi, JF. What's your deal?
Hey, kids, we'd like to welcome all of you to the Wamblers Jamming Out fucking show.
We like to jam just like Grandma Davis. I mean, Amadeus. So here's a song from us to you. Kick it off, Jeff.
Ones and threes.
Sometimes something stumps you, and you're like, I got stumped. And then you look around for somebody to get the answer, so you look at a nerd, and you're like, hey, nerd, I'm stumped. And he's like, don't call me that. We're famous now. And I'm like, what's the deal? He's like, we're talkie heads. And I'm like, yeah, but that was so long ago. He's like, now is every time. Time is a flat circle. And you groove, and you goof, and you groove, and you goof.
I like getting pretty weird with you, kids.
Yeah. So everybody sit around the table and let's listen to the learning about the lady called Amadeus. She had beautiful hair.
Big white hair.
It's like she got scared. But like also she's a guy and nobody judges that. No way. Because whoever you want to be, it's like whatever your deal is, man.
And then there's this guy whose name is Salinelli. And he's like, hello, I'm Salinelli, and I'm really good at playing rock and roll music. And
these guys would be like, they should join like, I don't know, Aerosmith or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
those guys,
really
I heard of them, and they do like to rock and roll.
They're really good piano players, but it seems to me like they got this thing where they're like, we're just gonna tell you what to goof, and they're not even like, we play a piano, but then we're gonna tell other guys what to goof. I mean, well, I don't know. I would just goof it myself. I guess Amadeus doesn't know how to play music too good.
I just don't understand why anybody would try to rock and roll, because it's like guys, we did that.
Yeah.
It's already happened.
Yeah,
so thanks, but
and we were like, I remember when we like Amadeus was around, because here's what happened.
he was all right. Like, it's cool. It's cool.
But
Don't worry
what
about
happened was he saw us act. We had a piano, and we're just like, everything just should sound like a bunch of idiots. And then he took that, and he's like, yeah, but what if it sounded like a bunch of idiots who were good? And we're like, nope. But he did it anyway, and now, but who's still around? I mean, well, I guess he is, because we're watching a movie about him.
Sometimes people mess with me, and I say, oh yeah, well, call me tomorrow and we'll see who's still around.
You know what's weird? Sometimes people are like, Amadeus is a dead guy, but then I'm like, but I'm watching his movie, so he's right there.
Yeah, he's right here. He can watch it on the internet if you want.
And that reminds me, a lot of people say the Big Bopper is a dead guy, but you know what? He's not, because I just listened to talking on the phone with girls yesterday.
My favorite thing about the Big Banker is that he's like I don't care. I'll just listen to like I'll just talk on the phone. I'm in the middle of a show, but guys, I have a call.
But that changed music, and a lot of people were like, iPhones changed music because you could just have music in your pocket. But he was like, that was like 100 years ago. The Big Bopper was like, I'm talking on a goddamn phone, and it's a song too.
Like, hey, give me a minute. And then when he's on the phone, he's just like, what? What do you mean?
He's like, say that fucking shit
like,
again.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Why don't you say that fucking shit again?
Hey, shut up a minute. You know what I like, you know? I mean, he's like, you know what I like, so why are you saying it?
When somebody calls you on the phone, here's what you do. You say, hey, baby. And then maybe do some rock and roll for a little bit. And then pick up the phone and be like, what?
The best part is like some sometimes he realizes, he's like, wait a minute, I was doing a song, wasn't I?
And he goes back and he plays more of his song.
He does the song.
But then he's like, oh, wait, I was on the phone, too.
Yeah. So he does both, and it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. I mean, what the fuck's that guy's deal? He made music on a phone. He did both. Holy crap! Oh, somebody is messing with us for sure.
Yeah, do you get the feeling that somebody's messing with us? Because I don't know if I've said this in the past, but I do get the feeling that somebody is messing, at least messing with me.
I had that feeling, but now I don't really have it anymore, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it was that happened, messing with or otherwise, it seems to be over, so I'm just gonna don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Chalk it up to just one of those things.
Chalk it up to differences.
Yeah, hey, everybody's got differences, and we have differences with, like, reality. I'm not dealing with it, man. I ain't dealing with that. Nope.
Yeah, skip that.
Skip it, ditch it.
Or as our dad, I believe, he probably didn't actually do this, but what he said he told his UPS bosses was, deliver this.
Yeah, he probably didn't say that.
Yeah, but that's a good move.
That's definitely something I've inherited from him. Where I'll tell people, I'll make it seem like I told somebody off, but I probably didn't. I probably wanted to.
I was like, no, man, you don't get to do that. And then, like, but I didn't really, but yeah, I was gonna. Yeah. I almost did.
So we're watching an opera scene in Amadeus right now, and that begs the question, is opera themes? Because you are most likely, the words are saying the stuff that's happening in the play. Right? Which is pretty much a theme.
Sort of, but it also is the whole play. Like, a theme isn't a movie. You know what I mean?
That's right. A theme sums it up.
Like, if it's a theme without a movie, that's a song, really.
Yeah, because an opera is what, like 3 hours long?
A short one is.
If we if we had a theme that was 3 hours long, then that would be an audio play.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, if we wrote a 3 hour long theme, like let's say we made a theme to Les Miserables, like and made it 3 hours long, that's still a theme and not an opera.
Okay, this will be a funny,
unless we write it as an opera.
This will be a funny game. Let's find stories or books or plays that one of us has seen but the other one hasn't, and like Les Miserables, I have never seen.
Yeah, me either.
Okay,
I know it's long though.
But you're from the theater. Do you not know what it's about?
I know a bit of it.
Okay, so. Okay, maybe.
I mean, it's Victor Hugo.
Yeah. Well, how about what's like a play that you know really well?
Yeah, I mean, how about
I don't know, but like a famous one,
like Cabaret.
Okay, so I've never.
That's
never
a real good.
Yeah,
one.
I mean, I know like Joel Grey, Liza Minnelli. I know it's a classic movie, and were they the original play? On the play stage too, or did they do it on Broadway?
I don't think so.
Anyway, I don't know what it's about. I have no idea what it's about.
Sure.
So here's going to be my assumption: Joel Grey plays a clown,
sort of,
who dances. Liza Minnelli, and he's gay,
ambiguous.
Okay, but Liza Minnelli's really into him. But he's like, I'm probably gay and I'm not into you. And then there are a lot of like openings in walls that people are dancing from, and a lot of spotlights and a lot of canes and top hats.
Yeah, or bowlers.
But the story is about a cabaret.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, you know, I think you got pretty good instincts, because I would say that was probably 80% accurate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right.
I think that's a pretty good.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't even want to know what it's about, because I'll watch it. How about that?
It's a good one. I've never seen the entire movie. I've seen it on the stage a handful. Well, I've seen it on the stage one time. I don't know why I'm pretending it was more than that, but it was real good. Yeah.
Now, why don't you try to tell me what you think the plot of Over the Top is? Have you ever seen Over the Top?
No, I don't think I ever did.
I mean, you know the
Yeah, I
gist
know
of
what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Sylvester Stallone is a down and out. He's probably had glory days, but is now sort of like maybe a little bit past those glory days, feeling some regret. Maybe as a kid that he doesn't spend enough time with, because I'm pretty sure there's a kid in it, and maybe like he needs to prove himself to the kid, and that's why he starts competitive arm wrestling. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that he was not previously an arm wrestler. That it's a new thing he finds out about himself during the course of the movie.
Okay.
And then maybe wins back his kid's love, and maybe by the end of the movie, maybe I think things are going to be all right.
Yeah, you're about 80% right there too.
All right.
Over the Top is about about a guy who is an arm wrestling champion. That's
okay.
established. And he's also like a truck driving champion.
I figured.
Yeah.
I thought it had something to
Yeah.
do with trucks.
Yeah.
Did was it Halen or was it just Sammy Hagar that?
Sammy Hagar.
He had a song from that?
We got to go over the top.
Makes sense.
And
it's actually pretty.
yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, notice that we've never tried to even come close to retheming that. But Robert Loggia Robert Loggia is his father-in-law, and he's like, fuck this truck driver. We're gonna tell everybody that his trucks are full of drugs. So that's what he does.
Jeez, Bob.
So that's what he does, and then Stallone's got to be like, all right, I'm gonna go on the road about it. So he goes on the road. There is a kid, and but then the mother starts dying. So then she's like, you got to go in the truck with Stallone, and then
he has to win.
and then the whole movie, they're like they start to bond, and then the kid calls up Robert Loggia. He's like, don't forget about that truck full of drugs, kid.
Oh man!
And there's also a whole bunch of letters that Robert Loggia, because the kid's like, he never even wrote to me. He's like, hey, I wrote to you so many times. And he's like, ask your mom. He's like, oh, wait, she's dead.
I'm going to go arm wrestle somebody
and then one day the kid's like looking around, and he finds the dead mom's purse locked into something, and it's full of the letters, and then they arm wrestle. But the best thing...
Wait, does he arm wrestle Robert Loggia? Because honestly, that doesn't seem
I know,
fair.
He should. But,
I mean, I wouldn't...
No, he arm wrestles just he enters this arm wrestling tournament because... It's something about getting his truck back. I think Robert Loggia really owned the truck, so he takes the truck away from him.
So, yeah.
But if he enters this arm wrestling competition,
then he can just buy
wins. No, you win a new truck.
Oh, okay.
You don't even have to buy it. You win a fucking new truck.
Well, yeah, it occurred to me. I was like, I thought he could take his money to buy his truck back from Robert Loggia, but why wouldn't he just get a new truck?
Yeah. But the best thing about the movie is that, like, right, and this isn't an established thing throughout the movie. It just happens once. And if it was established the whole movie, you'd be like, okay, it's fine. But the whole movie goes by, and there's various arm wrestling. They stop off to do like these little small time arm wrestling deals. This is funny. This is the most we've ever talked about a movie on the podcast, and it's not the movie that we're doing. No, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. And right before the big arm wrestling, the big like finale arm wrestling competition, all of a sudden the movie turns into a documentary, like
wow.
of the the various arm wrestlers, just talking heads, talking directly to camera about their like arm wrestling style, and it's not like a cutaway. It's not like, oh, this is playing on a TV like in the background so people can. It's literally like, oh, the movie's a documentary now, and he's like, yeah, I'm doing it for my truck and for my kid. And there's this other guy he's like, I drink oil, and he does.
Does that movie have a big like wrestler in it? Like is like Zeus in that or something?
No, you're thinking of No Holds Barred, which also
right.
Yeah.
And Zeus is Tiny Lister, right?
Yeah, who is croaked. I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
R.I.P.
He has passed.
Yeah, R.I.P. That's a bummer. He's He's really funny in a pretty bad Broken Lizard movie called Slammin' Salmons.
Oh wow, I never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's like they all work at a restaurant called the Slammin' Salmon, and Zeus owns he's the funniest part of the movie. Those guys are real hit or miss, man. Those Broken Lizards, like they nailed it with Super Troopers, but not much else.
I don't think I ever saw. I saw like half of the beer one, and that was okay.
It's all right.
Okay.
Super Troopers 2 has its moments, but they're basically the same.
Man, I forgot that there was a Super Troopers 2.
It has its moments, but like it's one of those things where it's like, there's certain people who were like maybe better during a certain time in history, and that time in history has maybe passed, and maybe their kind of humor is just like, ditch it.
And I think Super Troopers, that's like the movie you want to see when you're 20.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Doesn't do the same thing for me these days. These days, I'm like, I want to watch movies from Sweden about feeling terrible.
Yeah. I like watching things that make me feel terrible, because then it's like, hey, man, I feel pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I got to watch this movie for a movie club I'm in, and the movie's called Hate. It's just, it's La Haine. But, it's a French movie about hate. Okay.
Yeah, man. Le Pain. Oh, that's bread.
Yeah. I would also watch a movie about bread.
I would too.
I'd watch that, right? Like, no questions asked. I
won't
won't
even
watch it right
now. I'll watch it right fucking now.
I won't even ask a question.
I don't give a fuck. I'll watch that movie about bread right fucking now.
Well, shit, I want to see that. Fucking put it on now.
I don't give a fuck, man. I'll fucking watch that.
That was a good gag.
That sounds like one of those things. It's like when you first start cursing with your friends and you're just trying to be as badass as possible.
Yeah.
And just be like, I don't give a fuck. And you probably should give a fuck. Or not. Who gives a fuck?
Hey, do you want to meet out here later after dinner? I don't give a fuck. Fuck that.
Yeah. Man, being bad was really fun sometimes, but then there was these couple guys that I hung out with that are they just wanted to be really bad all the time.
Yeah, some of the kids were just bad.
And it's just like, no, I don't want to be this bad. Fuck that.
I think the bad stuff I did with friends, like that, like, as a grown up now, like, I smashed somebody's window just because.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, I'd be so pissed if some little shit smashed my window.
Yeah, like I was always a fan of, like, if we were doing like petty vandalism like that, doing it to somebody who deserved it. Like, remember, I don't know if you might not have been old enough, but there was that dance club, the Penalty Box in Northampton, for like a year.
Yeah, I never went to the Penalty Box.
It was pretty good. You could probably, a hand job was likely to happen if you were there.
It was at like the pizza place, right? So it was sort of like the Peach Pit after hours.
Yeah, exactly, after dark. Yeah. But there were guys from out of town that would come, and our hometown was particularly racist and pretty much all white. But like there were some African American dudes that would come, and it was cool. They were just they were teenagers, they were hanging out. But of course, some fucking idiots from our hometown, some wrestlers most likely, wanted to start some shit.
Lots of wrestlers.
And there was one night where those guys were starting shit, and I was like, I was trying to be well liked. I didn't do anything to these guys, obviously, but it was like a Darth Vader moment where you're looking back and forth between the Emperor and Luke, I'm like, you know what? I'm going with the out of towners, man, because fuck you guys. So and then we ended up smashing some windows of the racists, and that felt awesome.
Yeah, smash those windows. Yeah. What do you guys need windows for?
Yeah, and they were so mad because those guys, man, those wrestlers, those fucking jocks loved their cars so much.
Oh yeah. I never smashed a car window. What I would do a couple of times was just, if you were walking to school on the train tracks and there was that big hill and the house is at the top.
Yeah.
So we'd just throw rocks up there.
Oh yeah.
And then like one time you just heard like something shatter, and then you had to book it.
Yeah. One time I did that. Oh, Book It was also a good program.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
One time I did that, and I don't know if it's true or not because we couldn't see. It was like this thing where we would throw rocks over the trees, but there were houses on the other, and you would just wait to hear something break.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was one day where they're like, "You got glass in my daughter's eye," but I think they were lying because I'm pretty sure the daughter went to school with us, and there definitely wasn't glass in her eye. They were just trying to make us feel.
Hey,
bad.
you got glass in your eye?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And just to be fair, I have also smashed windows that we own, like I smashed like our barn window.
Yeah, and I smashed, me or you smashed the back of our Honda Civic by putting an amp in it to the bad way.
Yeah, that wasn't an intentional smash.
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
that was an amp smash.
But it might have been. I think I might have maybe subconsciously done it to piss off our stepdad because we knew it would make him really. I knew it would make him really mad.
Yeah,
and that was back then. Back then, my psychiatrist always used to be like, "You like to rattle that guy's cage, don't you?" And I'm like, he's just a dickhead.
Just smash a window.
Anyway, this has been the Tuugof podcast, and we thank you for listening. This has been the Amadeus one, and it's off of EP7.
I think we covered a lot of Amadeus.
Yeah. Next week is going to be the last song on EP7, and I don't know what we're going to do after that. I mean, we have a full record that's almost done. I suppose I could squeeze out an EP8. I do have the songs, but next week should be a funny one. The Last Waltz.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to get raw.
It's a great movie, but I just don't know if the music in the movie really represented like the vibe of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we would know what kind of vibe you were going for, Robbie.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, tune in then. Anyway, thanks for listening, and smell you later, alligator.